Hello my friends. This is a follow-up video to the starting your pants on fire video, and it has to do with what I'm calling ashcloth. Could this be a replacement for charcloth? I don't know. That's what today's experiment is for. So come along with me and let's see what we discover. Now, we all know charcloth is magical stuff, right? You can hit it with a tiny little spark and suddenly it's going to extend that heat. And that's the power of it. It can extend that heat out so that we can get something to start on fire. In this video I want to show you how to make it, how you can use it as a replacement for charcloth, and answer some of the questions that you had in the pants on fire video. So the first question most people are asking is, how does this work? I do not know how this works. However, one of our forest monks who's staying with us, he's on a big trek right now, maybe for a couple weeks. I'm not sure when I'll see him back, but he is a chemist. When he gets back, I will ask him, and if he knows or can explain it, I will put it in the description of this video. So keep checking back in the description if you're interested in the mechanics of this. If any of you know how it works, please explain it down in the video. How did I learn this? So the first time that I ever realized that ashes and cloth could do something together was on a YouTube channel called Boggy Creek Beast. And he was showing this thing called the Rudiger fire roll, where it's a really neat fire making method. And I won't go into how it works right now. But basically you're creating friction with this piece of cloth or other material that is impregnated with ashes. So clearly there was something happening with the mixture of the ashes and the cloth that creates more capacity for it holding heat. Now, to take the leap from that to using it as a charcloth replacement, that was not my own. There's a buddy of mine who showed me it and suggested it. He doesn't have a YouTube channel or anything, but he was the first one that said, hey, check this out. So that was not my original. My original was thinking you could use your clothing for this, just the edge of your clothing, as I showed in that pants on fire video with these very pants right here. I've searched the internet a little bit since then. As you might imagine, I don't get much time to watch YouTube videos, but it looks like David West, if you know him, he does a lot of fire making videos, and he seems to have shown, I didn't watch the whole video, but he seems to have shown how you can use the ash and the cloth together and that it will make a charcloth replacement. Again, I'm just going to call it ashcloth. But again, in this video, I want to go a little bit deeper, show you how you can make this skill your own. The other day, we were out for a hike with the forest monks. We came across an old campfire. Now, that campfire had everything we needed to make the ashcloth, because some of the people had cotton clothes, and the cotton clothing plus what we could get from that fire, and we could have ashcloth. Now, charcloth and ashcloth both have the liability that they kind of need a prior fire in order to create them. But with the charcloth, that fire has to be yours. You have to, you had to be there physically making the charcloth in the fire, where the ashcloth has the bonus of you could come across somebody else's fire and get the materials that you need. Charcloth also can be pretty delicate. When I'm teaching it to little kids, flint and steel, whether they're holding it on top or they're trying to strike down into it, they're new to it and they're hitting, and often that charcloth breaks up. The ashcloth is as strong as the original material, and so it is just more resilient. The ashcloth, it also, when we make charcloth, we are losing a fair amount of the substance there. And so though it burns hot, it doesn't have as much length of burn as the Ashcloth. So the Ashcloth also has that advantage. Okay, I've got a bunch of materials to mess with here. Here's some gray ash. I'm going to first demo this with a fire steel and plain cloth. So watch what happens when we hit the plain cloth with the fire steel. Okay, so I can get sparks to go down in there, but I cannot get them to catch. Now I'm going to take some of this gray ash. And what I want to do is really just get that mixed up in there really, really well. Pushing it into there. Now I'm going to hit it. And you can see one hit, and it's behaving completely differently than the regular cloth did. I can let it sit there, it's going to go on its own, or I can blow and get it to generate quite a bit of heat. That's with gray ash. Now gray ash is, you're only going to find that in really fresh fires. So what about the black, charcoal that we're more likely to find in an older fire? I'm going to take a piece of black charcoal, and sometimes this stuff can be hard to break up. I want a powder that's going to go into the material again. And we'll hit it with the fire steel. So we can see the black ash does not have the same power as the gray ash, but once we get it going, it is still going to retain that same power to continue to grow and get stronger. I feel like this is just way more delicate. See how the sparks are going out? If you're familiar with blowing a tinder bundle into flame, you're kind of losing the heat there. In fact, it actually went out on me there. We'll see what it does a little bit. So what I found is that the gray ash is much more powerful than the black ash. But the black ash is functional. Let's see if we can actually get it to do something here. A lot more coaxing and care to get that to go. But again, it'll work in a pinch. I highly doubt that we're going to get flint and steel to take in the black. Unless you had really, really good steel and got just a perfect spark, Don't think that's going to happen. If we go back to the gray, I'm just going to add a little more here. Give myself a good striking surface. So here's where it's not working as well as traditional charcloth, because I'm not getting that to take. Now, sometimes that can be our cloth. Here's another type of cloth. Adding in some gray. So, I don't think that it is performing as well as we would hope. Final piece of clothing. This is my wife's pants. They are no longer serving her. Yes, she knows that I took them. And let's see what we get. Maybe somebody better at flint and steel than me could get it to go. I think with the fire steel, we're going to get ignition. Now that took a while. Again, this is a demonstration of how we could use just clothing as charcloth. So is this going to replace regular charcloth? Maybe not. But I think that it has its own place as we know with fire steel, there's a lot of great things out there to use if you need to get a fire started. Among them, punkwood is always our go-to. But here I'm keeping a little tin and I'm putting some pieces of cloth in there, and just like a charcloth container, I can just keep them in there coated with ashes, and if I can't find any punkwood or other viable materials, then this might just come in really handy, especially in conjunction with a fire steel. The little sparker that I used in the last video is really not more powerful than a lighter, so that would be another option, is that spent lighter. So here I go, and got my little Ashcloth tin. Just like with charcloth, I can spark right down into it. Pull out the piece I'm using. And start myself a fire. Everything around here is super wet, so I'll probably speed this up for you a little bit. Finally, at last, some flames. It just poured on us late, just earlier. So maybe not a replacement, but I believe this has its own place in the annals of bushcrafting and wilderness skills and lore. and I really haven't seen many people talking about it. I hope other people experiment with it and take it to new levels. And tell me if you try it out. Tell me if you find uses for it. I know that it has come in useful a few times when I do not have other options available. Thanks for watching, my friends, and can't wait to see what you have to say in the comments.